This is Sam Kirby, host of Cinema Stories. Thanks for listening to the following broadcast on Public House Media.
I'm the Greg.
And I am Dave Show.
We host the Greg and Dave Show on Public House Media.
Thanks for listening to the following broadcast on Public House Media. Once you're done with this episode, I hope you'll come check out our show, The Greg and Dave Show, where we talk about strange, bizarre, and sometimes just downright quirky news stories that you may not have heard about.
A new show comes out every Wednesday. Be sure to subscribe on iTunes. And hey, thanks for listening to the following broadcast on Public House Media.
It's No Filter Friday on Public House Media. This week is going to be a doozy, kids. It's going to be a doozy. So I don't even have tea because this isn't even really a tea spilling episode. It's just hard to do. So we're going to say it with LaCroix because that's the kind of situation we're in. So I'm going to take a second while we're at the top of the show and make sure things on my desk don't fall around, and share the show, and have people come join us because that's what it's all about. Here at No Filter Friday on Public House Media, share to a page. Yes, share to a page. Posting as yes. Manage on share to our timeline. Oh. Okay. What shall we say? Chris Hardwick. Tonight, ever on share, so somebody else can. You cannot make noise during the show. We've been over this a million times. This is how this works. And you've already been outside and you've already been fed. See, that's what I thought. It's going back to this house. You just stay in there where you're supposed to be. Okay. Back to where we're supposed to be. Hello. Thank you people for coming in and joining us. Did you notice that I got a new magazine rack back here? Podcast listeners, they can't appreciate my new magazine rack, but a live show folks can. All right. Again, it's going to be a rough episode. Like, I really do take no pleasure in this one. Like, most of the time, I really, really, really enjoy this. This particular episode, I don't. When the story broke last week, it was right before, I think it came out like on Thursday or Friday, and last week was a crazy week for #MeToo. But I wanted to let the story develop a little bit, and I'm so glad that I did. And I had to get on the phone and talk to people and ask their opinions and things like that because I met Chris Hardwick, been on at midnight, and I've met Lydia Hearst, and her and I talk on Instagram every now and then. But I don't know this Chloe chick. Matter of fact, I don't even know how to say her last name, to be honest with you. And then to beat all subconsciously, which I think is one of the worst things about this particular situation is when I was doing the tags for the show, I was like, oh, should I put Chloe, what's her face, and Chris Hardwick, or no, nobody knows her, just put Chris Hardwick. He's who's trending, not her. So I think that's kind of a tell in this situation, if I do say so myself. I should have gotten my No Filter Friday cup out. I really should have. Hello, people that have come in to join the broadcast. Can you leave a comment or say something so I know who you are? Because your names don't come up on my feed here. I only know who it is if you comment. So please comment. My makeup is so rough today because I have been in the valley in the sun baking all day, and it is disgusting out there. It is disgusting. When Ari Gold said it is the wrong side of the hill, he's absolutely correct. Any hoozles. Quick note to touch on something that we talked about last week? No, week before. 2 weeks ago. 2 weeks ago, half of the show was about a girl who had accused, not just accused like, hey, you did this to me, but like criminally accused these two guys on a football team at some school that of raping her, and then like right when push came to shove, she was like, no, I just made it all up. So she got sentenced to a year in jail. There is another girl since who had a similar situation, essentially lied and said this person raped me. And she recanted, said that she made it up. She's now going to be on probation for 2 years, I think. And if she violates that probation in any time in the 2 years, she's automatically going to jail for a few years, basically. Yes, David Bobke. I was hoping that you were there. I didn't know for sure. Like, I don't really know that. It's probably you, but it doesn't have to be you. It could be somebody and something else. I'm not sure. Totally. Until you say something. Does it sound okay, David? Because sometimes when I do it on my laptop, it doesn't sound good. Does it sound okay? Gosh, look at this line on my forehead here. Goodness. Oh. How do these people do it out there with all these lines on their forehead? Anywho, so that's an update from the show 2 shows ago. So this is becoming a thing where people falsify police reports and then they end up getting brought up on charges and going to jail where they belong. So that's an update, just a minor update. Maybe I'll post about it. I don't know. We'll see. And then this thing with Chris Hardwick, a little echoey. Should I put headphones in? Not terrible though. Okay. Well, let me see if I have, there's that. How's it now? Is it better with the microphone? For a custom audio experience? I don't want a custom audio experience. What do you think, David? Is it better with the mic? Hopefully so. Awesome. Wonderful. Thank you for listening. I'm glad we could work that out in real time. That's really wonderful. Hello, folks coming in. Leave me a comment so I know who you are so we can chat. That's what you're here for. Anyway, so last week, this story broke about Chris Hardwick's ex-girlfriend, Chloe something. Her last name is complicated. Had wrote a book, and in the book, she said that she had been in an abusive relationship for 3 years with, the head of a big network, blah, 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 which was obviously Chris Hardwick. They were A, in a public relationship, B, he's the head of the Nerdist, and some other details that she gave in it that was like dead giveaway, basically. So when she put it out, people figured it out like, oh my gosh, she's talking about Chris Hardwick. And she said some pretty jarring things, even though she did not name him personally. So let's go. We're going to try to do this chronologically without jumping around too much. It's going to be hard, but we're going to try. Chris Hardwick caught up in a firestorm. Oh gosh, that's from 9 hours ago. Lord have mercy. It's like such a back and forth between them. Lydia Hearst had posted something the other day. It's rough. It's rough. Maybe they'll end up leaving LA for a while. Chris Hardwick, Chloe. Oh wow, her name is Chloe Dykstra Bioshock. She has a long, complicated name. Chloe Essay. 2 days ago. 8 days ago. Yeah, this is really... I really don't want to read you this article from Jezebel because I think it's going to be biased. Okay. This is from some news site in Australia. Can you see this? News somewhere in Australia? Okay. Chloe has been an extraordinary essay outlining the emotional and sexual abuse she has endured at the hands of her celebrity ex-boyfriend. Chloe, a 29-year-old model and actor from the U.S., produces and co-hosts a web series, Just Cause. Oh, she's a big cosplayer, by the way. So this whole Comic-Con community, that's her jam.
and is a member of the sci-fi show Heroes of Cosplay. Her first-person account of the abusive 3-year relationship was published on the Medium website. Chloe 29 references the hashtag #MeToo movement and describes the essay as part closure and part warning, detailing a relationship in which she was restricted from going out at night, having male friends, speaking in public places, or taking photos of them as a couple. Though she never actually names the man in the piece, she describes him as mildly successful podcaster who grew into a powerhouse CEO of his own company. That little nugget of information is where people were like, oh, well, it's obviously Chris Hardwick. She admits, I made the choice to accept his controlling behavior, and he just left his long-term girlfriend, and I assumed that he was going through some serious emotional discomfort. That was a huge mistake, end quote. She also describes sexual abuse, saying, I was expected to be ready for him when he came home from work, and describes crying as her partner had sex with her. That is just a horrible thought. Hi, Chris Smith. Oh, happy belated Father's Day. Thanks for coming in. She goes on to say, I lost myself both mentally and physically and lost 15 pounds within weeks, started pulling out my hair, had to get extensions regularly to hide it. She wrote, I generally stopped speaking unless spoken to while with him, drifting through life like a ghost. I would try to sleep in as late as possible so my days were shorter. I stopped listening to music entirely. I ceased to be. I was an ex person. I don't know what that means. She needs to clarify on that, what an ex person is. She writes that she had very little personal support as she had never been alienated from her own friends. Other than an occasional party, I was obligated to leave early when he decided it was time. Sometimes he'd let me go play Dungeons & Dragons, but I always had a curfew. He would yell in his voicemails at me if I didn't answer his calls. She writes that she eventually left the man in question, and then after the breakup, he made calls to companies to get me fired by threatening to never work with them, and that he and a female colleague steamrolled my career. Julia, hello, Julia. It is complicated this evening on hashtag No Filter Friday. He succeeded. I was blacklisted, she writes. She says at her lowest point, she contemplated taking her own life. Obviously, I didn't go through with it, but over the years, I considered it many times. With the help of a therapist, a psychiatrist, good people, lots of hard work, I've managed to rebuild my life, and I'm in a much better place. But I've never received closure for the long-lasting trauma, physical and emotional. For the time I was screamed at for spilling some bottled water in a rental car, or for the time I asked him if he was okay one too many times, for the time I grasped at a cute puppy and was punished for startling him. This is her, by the way. This Chloe chick. She also talks about potentially life-threatening ectopic pregnancy. I lost my period for a year because of anorexia, but somehow I got pregnant ectopically. Ooh, that's rough. When I found out, I collapsed on the floor, terrified that he would be furious with me. Between sobs, I told him over the phone, please don't be mad and don't worry. I have to have surgery to have it removed, or it could kill me at any time. My fear of his anger at me for getting pregnant was literally greater than my fear of death. She describes an exchange she said her mother and ex had with the doctor following the surgery. After my recovery, he and my mother were greeted by the doctor. She wrote, the surgery went well. She'll be fine, said the doctor. That's great. When do you think I can have sex with her again? Said my ex. It was his first question my mother never forgot. As soon as the bombshell essay went live, people were quick to join the dots on who she was referring to. Cursory Google of her relationship timeline suggests that the man she was loving claims against is Chris Hardwick, a popular podcaster founder of the Nerdist Company, host of NBC game show The Wall and AMC's Talking Dead, and a regular at the Comic-Con convention in San Diego. He's also the host of At Midnight. How did we miss this? Seriously? Anyway, she writes in her essay that she ended the relationship when she was 25, which makes it about 4 years ago. Hardwick announced their breakup on Twitter 2014. She also writes in the essay that the man in question is almost 20 years older than she is. Hardwick is 46, which is crazy because he doesn't look like he's even in his 40s. Like, It's amazing to me. Oh, look at all these people coming in. Hello, Kevin Vargas and Vanessa and Aaron and Katie O'Neill. Oh my gosh, I was telling the story of you the other day when we were at the Hotel del Coronado. Katie told the story the other day. Compelling. Anyway, seriously, phone, I can't with you. She also references the fact that she was expected to follow her ex's lead when it came to sobriety. Hardwick has been vocal about abstaining from alcohol since 2003. In the essay, she says her ex became engaged shortly after she left him. Hardwick married actor, model, and heiress Lydia Hearst in 2016. 33-year-old Hearst is the great-granddaughter of the newspaper publisher and politician Willie Randolph Hearst, i.e. the heir to Vogue, which is why I love Lydia. And we'll come back to that later. Since the article went live, she has chosen to take a break from social media. She continued with this tweet today. Following the publication of her article, Hardwick's name has been scrubbed from the Nerdist website. Legendary Entertainment, which owns Nerdist Industries, where Hardwick launched his career as a comic and podcaster, released a statement. Chris Hardwick had no operational involvement with Nerdist for the 2 years preceding the expiration of his contract in December 2017. It reads, he no longer has any affiliation with Legendary Digital Networks. The company has removed all reference to Mr. Hardwick, even as the original founder of Nerdist, pending further investigation. I don't think this is actually under investigation, though. Like, I don't think this has gone anywhere criminally or civilly unless he and Lydia are suing her. In March, NBC renewed its Hardwick hosted game show The Wall for a 20-episode third season, though no premiere date was announced. AMC also just announced his Summer Bridge talk show, Talking with Chris Hardwick, returns on Sunday. On Thursday, BBC America announced that Hardwick would moderate the network's Doctor Who panel at Comic-Con next month. Hardwick is also penciled in to host AMC's The Walking Dead panel at the convention. He's all over the place at San Diego Comic-Con. NBC and AMC have not responded to various media outlets' requests for comment on her post. Hardwick has responded to the essay statement to Deadline. Oh, so this is an update on the article. These are very serious allegations and not to be taken lightly, which is why I've taken the day to consider how to respond. I was heartbroken to read Chloe's post. Our 3-year relationship was not perfect. We were ultimately not a good match and argued, even shouted at each other, but I loved her and did my best to uplift and support her as my partner and companion in any way, and at no time did I sexually assault her. When we were living together, I found out Chloe had cheated on me, and I ended the relationship. She's still with this guy, Sam, by the way. She cheated on Chris with this guy. So this is the tea that I got from somebody else. Oh, Elizabeth is here. Yay, Elizabeth, thanks for coming in. Okay, so apparently old girl Chloe cheated on Chris Hardwick with this dude, Sam. Apparently they are still together. So there's some food for thought on there. Her essay mentions kissing another person near the end of the relationship, but recounts the subsequent events in a very different light. For several weeks after we broke up, she asked to get back together with me and even told me she wanted to have kids with me, build a life with me, and told me that I was the one, but I did not want to be with someone who was unfaithful. I'm devastated to read that she is now accusing me of conduct that did not occur. I was blindsided by her post and always wanted the best for her as a husband, a son, and future father. Future father? I don't remember Lydia being pregnant, but okay. I do not condone any of the mistreatment of women. Blah, blah, blah. Okay. So here's where things get a little hairy canary. So they kind of start this back and forth via statements, press statements, and social media and this, that, and the other thing. So then things get really, really real, and via TMZ, that's who I saw it on, Chris Hardwick posts the receipts. Text Chloe. Okay, so here's the thing for TMZ. So here's a little more sequence of these events. So apparently, in their back and forthness with this, he decides to dig out some screen caps of text, of her asking him to take her back and, I want to get back together, I want to do this, I'm going to do that, blah, blah, blah. things have heated up, and in some of those, she talked about how she never wanted to be on camera. She never wanted to host that show. She didn't want the money. They made her take the money. It's a whole battle. Like, it went from bad to worse downhill, and then these screen caps receipts came into it. Problem being that regardless of Me Too or not, there are times in your life where you can look back on something and be like, oh my gosh, that's not at all what I thought it was at the time. There's a lot of people that suppress things until much later. But at the same time, though, like, she clearly stated that she wasn't well, like, between being anorexic and, you know, crippling anxiety for sure. She wasn't well, and that, you know, that kind of stuff happens. Like, being in a public relationship is not it's not normal, quite frankly. Like, the first couple years, I don't know, the first 2.5, 3 years of Steven and I being together, I was horribly depressed. Not because of him, but because I was, like, point blank period. It's not normal to be in a relationship with somebody. Granted, Steven was already well established by the time we started dating, but, like, Chris was, like, kind of, you know, on the come up when he was dating Chloe. It's not normal, this life that we live in Hollywood. It's not regular. It's very strange. Like, when she started talking about how, like, she wouldn't talk to people, like, unless they would talk to her at parties, like, I can absolutely relate to that. When you're with someone where people just kind of consider you the accessory and, you know, they just want to talk to your person, you kind of just stand there, and at some point you're like, I don't even want to go to this. Like, nobody wants to talk to me. Nobody wants, you know, like, this is silly. Like, why waste the makeup? Why would I waste a pair of good mink eyelashes on this event to go to when I'm just going to get, like, you know, smushed around? I have thought these things before. I can completely relate to that. It's not normal. It's a strange lifestyle. I love it. It's amazing. We have a great life and a fantastic relationship, and we don't pay for anything. We live on celebrity welfare. It's wonderful. Every single day we get up and we're like, what do you want to do? I'm like, I don't know. What do you want to do? Let's go to Chipotle. We go to Chipotle 5 days a week, and the rest of it we just kind of, you know, fill in. It's like the Chipotle in Burbank, they know us. Okay, that's our thing. We walk in, they're like, oh, these people again. All right, burn his burrito. That's the way he likes it. But, you know, it's not, relationships are hard, period. And then when you throw this weird, strange public element into it, and then in their case add things onto it, like him going from a mid-level podcaster to the Nerdist being a huge, huge, huge thing. Like, that was just his schedule for Comic-Con. Like, they had 3 different things to go to. Doing Comic-Cons, having one thing to go to is just Looney Tunes. I can't imagine doing all that. And on top of, you know, talk shows and game shows and blah, 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 blah. Like, it's just craziness. But without that being said, like, it is possible to have these regressive feelings on things that have happened to you, or regressive realization, I guess you could say, like, oh wow, like that wasn't okay, that wasn't right, because those things happen. They do. Like, and I'm not a psychiatrist, but, you know, people suppress things. It's a defense mechanism. Like, it's in there. It's possible. But it seems to be, in this case, that she was just not well in general. Not to discredit what she thinks happened to her. But she's made it pretty clear that she wasn't well. But, you know, you have not normal feelings with a not normal relationship, and that's going to flap away into lots and lots of stuff. So that's why this particular episode is so incredibly hard to do. And then they're weirdos, man. Like, Steve and I are weird, like, for sure. But, like, Chloe's best friend, for example, is Max Landis, one of the weirdest mothers that I have ever met. He's a good time. I did a movie with him years ago that was on just for a couple days. And, you know, we would shoot top portion of the day. We would get to lunch. He would change clothes, and then we'd all go to catering and eat lunch like normal people. That's what you're supposed to do with your lunch hour. And he's over here sword fighting with some random crew member, and then, you know, we'd be back in and he'd change and stop sword fighting and, you know, go back to directing this movie. Oh, Tiara's here. Hello, Tiara. Thanks for coming in. Just talking about crazy people, you know, the normal, completely normal for the show. But anyway, so Chris Hardwick ends up putting out these text messages, the receipts, the Kim Kardashian, Taylor Swift level receipts. So this is from TMZ. You can go look at it if you want to. Chris Hardwick, text messages with Chloe she tried in vain to reconcile. So this is from the 19th. This is just from the other day. Chris Hardwick severed ties with Chloe in a lengthy text chronicling major issues in their relationship, and she pleaded to talk to him afterward to no avail, even months later. However, I will say, though, breaking up with people via text is no-no. That guy in Sex and the City that broke up with Sarah Jessica Parker via Post-it, and then, you know, craziness ensued, that wasn't okay. Text messages, also not okay. To no avail. According to the text messages obtained by TMZ, Chris calls out Chloe for cheating on him with a man named Sam. See, Sam, this dude, saying it's the worst thing anyone has ever done to me. Chris claims Chloe led him to believe she wanted to get back together after they broke up, but never stopped seeing Sam. Hardwick, and still hasn't to this day. Hardwick more or less tells her his long text message will be the last time he talks to her and declares their relationship over. And she then sends several texts begging to talk, saying, I will always love you. So here, I want to show you that there's the screenshot there. Hey, when can we be okay? Will that ever happen? We both handle this poorly, possibly myself more so. I'm sorry, I shouldn't have texted you. I think I just got caught up in a wave. I hope things are awesome with you. And this is 7 months after they broke up. So this is January 27th of 2015. At a respectable hour, though, 8:24. That's not bad. According to the text thread, Chloe reached out to Chris 7 months later in an apparent attempt to make up. Sources close to Chris say it's hard to believe Chloe would try for months to get back with him if she was being emotionally and sexually abused, as she claimed last week. As we reported, Hardwick denied her allegation of sexual abuse and said their breakup after a 3-year relationship was a result of her cheating. We reached out to Chloe. So far, no words back. Okay. Here's another thing. Oh, Alexa's here. Hello, Alexa. Thanks for coming in. I see Chris and Lydia out places. Premieres. See them at premieres a lot. I don't know anybody, including the people that I called to get some information from inside that whole like cosplay nerdy thing. Cause like I go to Comic-Con, but I'm just a decoration. Like I'm not actually in it to win it or anything. Maybe the press game, but that's about it. Anyway, so I called up some of those, you know, friends that I have of people in that arena. And even after all this, like I still can't find a person that knows Chris Hardwick that has a bad word to say about him. Everybody that he's cool with are cool people. So it's really hard, which is why like this is my least favorite episode of this show I've ever done. Because I don't want to discredit someone's feelings, but at the same time though, this has gotten really, really sketchy. So once this TMZ article came out with, you know, the receipts basically, things have taken a turn. So the other day, Lydia posted, hang on, let me get on the gram. let's get on the gram and see what Lydia posted. Because this popped up in my feed immediately, like as soon as she posted it. So she posted this picture of her and Chris and the dog. That got 22,395 likes. 95th is mine. This is not a statement in defense. This is a statement of defense. Defense for all the women who have been sexually abused, raped, trafficked, and tortured. Defense of all the people who this movement has started for. Over the last year, the #MeToo movement has rightly aimed a spotlight directly on women whose stories need to be told. As someone who has been involved in a toxic relationship in the past, I know firsthand the importance of sharing these stories and do not take the situation lightly. I have made this decision to come out in support of my husband, not out of obligation, but out of necessity to speak the truth about the person that I know. Chris is nothing but loving and compassionate, as the only person who has stood by me, never judged me, helped me heal and feel whole. To defend my husband would be giving credence to any of these accusations. I will not do that. Chris Hardwick is a good man. I remain in complete support of my husband, and I believe that the truth will always win. #time's up, because I know my truth and I believe in due process. Which she got, support for. She got flack for. Like, people, I guess, have kind of chosen a side with, which way or the other. But as far as anybody's reported, he's not being actually investigated, like, by the LA PD or anything. Like, there's no police reports involved. There's none of that. Like, it's just essentially two people going back and forth. Comic-Con is coming right around the corner. It's in less than a month. This time next month will be Comic-Con. It starts on the 19th. And I think Gold Hardwick's going to sit this one out, which is sucky all the way around. But that's the way that it is. That's the way that it is. And that's all we can do about it. So that is the information that I have on it. We'll see. Maybe we will circle back around to this with some updates during Comic-Con, and see what actually stuck and what didn't. Because sometimes people say, oh, no, they're not coming. Oh, they're canceled. Oh, this, oh, that. This is, this is binned. And then some time goes by and some things happen, and just kidding, it's exactly, going on as scheduled. So who knows, man? Like, this one's a particular rough ride, because if it is true, it sucks. And if it isn't true, it also sucks. Like, it's literally a lose-lose situation in this case. Because if it is true, he's a dick. And if it's not true, she is a lying, manipulative person. And I don't know why you would do this. Like, she's gotten off social media in the wake of this for whatever reason. Like, I don't know what PR rep or what attorney advised her to do this. But she seems to be operating within the level of, like, civil, butting right up on, defamation and slander and all that stuff. That she didn't actually name him personally. People just figured it out. So I don't know what that gray area is. But I will say this as my final word on this. Lydia Hearst is no joke. Chris Hardwick's wife is no joke. Her last name's Hearst. Okay? Like I said, she's the heiress of Vogue. They have a castle in Central California. Like, I don't think, in my opinion of them, in my opinion of her and her family, from knowing her, I don't think they would have okayed her to marry someone if they didn't pass the smell test. The Hearst family has no reason for that, and I'm sure. Jelly, what are you doing to my cords? Get out of here. Go. Take your pugness someplace else. I'm sure, her family lawyers handled their prenup and such, because Chris has got coins. Like, let's be for real, but he doesn't have generational wealth. So I'm I'm sure he was thoroughly vetted by her family's attorneys. So that is my take on the situation. That's all the information that I have for you. Go look at it. Tell me what you think. Send me messages. Slide in my DMs. Do whatever. And then next week, who knows what's going to happen? Oh, I do know what's going to happen. Next week, we're having a very special guest, Bonnie Gillespie, the casting director. She's going to be on the show, which is going to be awesome. We're doing a Q&A with her about just #MeToo in general. So come back next Friday to Public House Media, and it's going to be super fun. See you later, guys.